Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nivasishya Shunyavadi Pashtatar Satarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome again, devotees. Hare Krishna. We have all four of us at the moment. Sure, more will be clicking in, coming in. And we're on the last chapter, the last few pages of the last chapter. Then there's a summary. Oh, sorry, to get my microphone near here so you can hear better. Hare Krishna. Then there's a summary, which is pages. Okay, everyone could let me. Okay, Hare Krishna. Right, so last week was a bit of a. Anyone remember this subject we were speaking about last week? Reading, stroke, speaking about. I'll give you a clue. It's a sobering subject.
Offenses, how to take care of. I can't. Maybe more clues.
Yeah, the subject was about, and it's good to hear about. It was about the about Vaishnava Aparad.
Yeah, offense.
That was it. Yeah, and how according to the severity, according to the degree, and according to what level of devotion one is at, it will have its specific effects. So generally, according to the gravity of the offense, then basically one will drop in the path, or one will drop from a specific stage of devotion to a lower stage. So for example, even at the stage of bhava, although it's highly unlikely, we have that unique example of Jad Bharat in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, and a unique example, but generally it's unlikely at that stage. But just say circumstances may be, and there are some examples that someone may inadvertently or advertently make an offense of bhava. Then, depending on the degree, then they will drop down to an abas, which is the shadow of bhava, which otherwise one will come up to the shadow of bhava and then attain bhava. But then if one makes an offense at that stage, then one goes down to an abas of bhava. So remember that discussion? So basically that was, but then it ended on a more positive note, and we'll just begin with that. We're just coming with that. So Hare Krishna. So just reading something in the chat. Hare Krishna Kumara Priya. Hare Krishna. Chandravali. Hare Krishna. Okay, we're ready. Steady. Ready, steady, read. Okay. So, as water nourishes weeds and healthy creepers alike, Nam Sankirtan nourishes the weeds of bad habits growing alongside the creeper of devotion. I just read that before we opened up, and it kind of had to read it once more. So, Nam Sankirtan, it will nourish the weeds of bad habits growing alongside the creeper of devotion. So therefore, some vigilance is needed. If with the help of advanced association, the weeds are not pulled out at the root, then they can cause havoc in the sadhaka's attempts at perfection. So it's not going to be, it seems like it's not going to be, it's generally not a clear run. Misconceptions will arise, different obstacles may arise, and that's only natural in one sense. That's why we need the association of devotees. Yeah. With the help of advanced association, the weeds, if they're not pulled out, they can cause havoc in the sadhaka's attempts at perfection. But when the weeds are uprooted, then the devotional serve Kripa quickly bears the fruit of prema in the shade of Krishna's lotus feet. At that stage of devotion, the bhakta is no longer susceptible to offenses or deviant behavior. That is the perfection of life. Right? So I might say, there we say that we're all dealing with some type of weed. Yeah. All of us, to one degree or another, there's some weeds are growing alongside the Bhakti Ladder Bija. So that's called an Attaining. So we have to be attentive to what is actually pure devotion. Yeah. And that can be done by good, strict sadhana. Yeah. So we can identify the weeds. All right. So on page 844, Mother Chandravali, just at the bottom, I just did a little recap of where we left off last week. All right. So beginning at 844. Yeah, some devotees argue that because Krishna's mercy is very difficult to obtain, it is more desirable to strive for Lord Chaitanya's mercy. After all, Srila Prabhupada often said that Gauda was more merciful than Krishna. To court Gauranga's favor, they say, one need not be learned in scripture or versed in the ways of bhakti. Sounds familiar? Yeah. One has only to chant Hare Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will do the rest. After all, they reason, the Lord came to give Krishna prema to the most fallen. They are fallen, so prema will come in this fast-track way. Okay. Sounds familiar? Oh, here comes Nitai Mata. Perhaps I should read it again when she comes. She's the Gauranga fan, which we all should be. We're all Gauranga fans. Okay.
I find that as you study Shastras, I mean, I'm not studying, but I'm just saying from the classes what I feel, that there's deeper meanings to the paragraph you just read. There's a lot more insight to learn than just chant Hare Krishna Bhakti Mahaprabhu sing. Like everything in every subject, there is a lot more. As one progresses, there's deeper and deeper, more meanings to everything. It's not straightforward.
Yeah. I think I mentioned this recently as well. If you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, then getting Krishna Prema is quite straightforward. You just got to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's got to be embraced by him.
Yeah.
And then you fall into ecstasy. It's quite a straightforward affair. Welcome, Mother Nitai Mata. Hare Krishna. We're just speaking about Gauranga. I hope you're happy about that. Hare Krishna. So, okay, so continuing. Let me just read that because Mother Nitai Mata's just joined us. Okay. To gain Gauranga's favor, they say, one need not be learned in scripture or versed in the ways of bhakti. One only has to chant Hare Krishna, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will do the rest. After all, they reason, the Lord came to give Krishna prema to the most fallen. They are fallen, and so prema will come in its fast-track way. This reasoning, however, is flawed because it does not reconcile the speciality of the Lord's limited pastimes on earth with the greater purpose of his teachings for the future generations of followers. Yeah, I just was speaking about that. So a proper understanding of the Lord's appearance cannot ignore what both Krishna and Gaura said while present. I'm just confirming what I just said there. So
are you reading, sorry Prabhu, are you reading from Sankalpa Kaumudi?
Yes, Mondays, Sankalpa Kaumudi.
Okay. Yeah, no, Prabhu, I thought maybe you're referring to some other quote, that's why.
No, yeah, I'm reading directly from the book.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Prabhu, thank you.
All right. So again, it does not reconcile the speciality of the Lord's limited pastimes on earth. In other words, giving Krishna prema to everyone with the greater purpose of his teachings and the future generations of followers. Okay. Although Lord Caitanya transforms sinners like Jagai and Madai into lovers of Krishna, these miraculous conversions of Kripa-siddhi, like the Lord's physical presence, are a special feature of the Lord's pastimes. Right? Special feature of the Lord's pastimes. They are not the standard path of perfection. Wow. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu displayed bhava immediately after initiation to show the power of Diksha and the Diksha mantra. Gopal mantra and the Karmadev mantra, okay? However, we do not see devotees today making such extraordinary transformations after their initiation. In short, the miraculous deliverance of devotees we read about in biographies like Chaitanya Charitamrita are exceptional occurrences limited to the Lord's pastimes. Okay, any questions, comments? Interesting, isn't it?
Is it because in Gauranga's pastime, his associates, even Krishna's pastime, associates are all from
Prema Bhaktas.
Yeah, yeah.
All Prema Bhaktas and all eternally liberated, all liberated souls, and just the presence of Gauranga himself, profound effect. But still, we could say that that was the start of the tsunami. That was the Lord Chaitanya's appearance, was the inauguration and the offering of prema. Yeah, so he gave it freely, but as Marge, but then he described for future generations, we are following the instructions that he gave in order to obtain prema. He gave to Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, and others, Ramananda Roy, yeah, Sanatana Goswami. Yeah. Yeah.
He's dancing.
Okay. Prabhu, when
Your voice is a bit faint, but
everybody was chanting. Is it okay, Prabhu? Yeah, okay. If
now it's better.
Sorry, when Mahaprabhu appeared, yeah, Mahaprabhu appeared, even on that day, everybody was chanting Hare Krishna and they were all taking baths in Ganges. So can you...
Your voice...
And of course, yeah, and came prema. So
I'm afraid, Brother Nitai Mathada, your question sounds very important, but unfortunately I cannot hear it all. Your voice is coming and going, so I'm only hearing bits.
Is it now better?
That's now.
It's better now?
Go on, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, when Mahaprabhu appeared on that day, everybody was chanting Hare Krishna.
Yeah, the Muslims,
the Ganges, everybody, because it's
eclipse.
Yeah. So how, eclipse day, how can we understand? How can we connect chanting Hare Krishna? And of course, Lord's presence is extremely auspicious. He came to, why we say he came to give the Maha Mantra? No, he came, it's not argumentable. I just want to understand that connection.
I lost the question there. So he came to give the Maha Mantra. Yeah, you would understand.
Yeah, but we were already chanting.
Sorry, because can't understand.
But at that time, the people already chanting Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Correct. And the question?
So, question is, so how we can say he came to give the Maha Mantra? Because we have been already chanting Hare Krishna, not we.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he especially at the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I mean, the Maha Mantra is an eternal mantra, and Haridas Thakur
Yeah.
was chanting the Maha Mantra before the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and no doubt some
Yeah.
great sages. Yeah, but specifically, so but specifically, he he inaugurated it and empowered it
Ah,
as the
yeah.
youth Dham. Yeah,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
made it known. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu displayed Bhava. You read that, didn't you? Vaishnavas must view Lord Chaitanya's pastimes of mercy in tandem with his teachings. The former takes place exclusively during the time of his appearance. The latter are for everyone. That means his teachings for all time. It is like the difference between Vapu Seva and Vani Seva. So Vapu Seva means the form of the Lord, and Vani means his instructions. The physical presence of a great person facilitates some unique exchanges for a limited audience and for certain error. However, it is the teachings of a great person which are not dependent on geography or time, and so are universal in application. That are his greatest gifts. I think that that is his greatest gifts to mankind. A reader may then ask, then what is the special feature? What is the special feature of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy that Vaishnava's texts speak about? To this question, acharyas including Srila Prabhupada reply, it is the unqualified, publicly proclaimed, and freely distributed means to attain perfection. Okay? The means to attain perfection. We repeat, the means to attain perfection, not perfection itself. But sometimes we're expecting to get Krishna Prema, just like all the residents of Navadvip got Krishna Prema. It's going to fall without perhaps being attentive to the process of bhakti in all the details that it has been given. This is what Maharaj is bringing out here. So he gave the path to obtain perfection. Yeah. The special mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was to disclose to the world the most confidential perfection of spontaneous loving devotion and its path to its attainment. Then he quotes Sanapita Chiram Chirikun Avatiyana Kalo. May the Supreme Lord, who is known as the Son of Mother Sachi Devi, be transcendently situated in the innermost chambers of your heart. Resplendent with the rays of molten gold, he has appeared in this sage of Kali to bestow what no incarnation ever offered before, the most sublime and radiant spiritual knowledge of before, most mellow of devotional service, the mellow of conjugal love. Unquote. Moreover, the Lord gave access to both Dissadhya, perfection, and sadhana through the simple process of Nam Sankirtan. Okay, so through Nam Sankirtan, the process of Nam Sankirtan, we can achieve sadhya. And because he is the same supreme being who establishes the laws of Bhakti Yoga, he could dispense with all the qualifications of purity, learning, and high birth that would be obstacles for the average person of this age. Yeah? So anyone can take to the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And so through his teachings and example, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu opened a door to a very secret storehouse of love of God, thereby making its contents available to anyone and everyone who is willing to accept it, with the minimal condition that they abandon sinful life. Kaviraj Goswami writes, he wove a wreath of the holy name and prema, which he garlanded the entire material world. From this verse, we should understand the wreath of the holy name and prema to be the sadhana of chanting Hare Krishna in the mood of separation from a Raj associate. The Lord did not garland the world with prema in the form that descends on people, whether they want it or not, or make an effort for it or not. Yeah? That's what he did in his personal presence. Yeah? Rather, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu freely garlanded the world with prema in the form of the means by which people can attain prema. The two ways in which prema descends is described by Narada to Gopal Kumar. Quote, one form is that love which comes fully manifest without any effort. The other is the love that scriptures describe, love which comes in an unmanifested form as sadhana bhakti, which manifests as a consequence of perfect practice. Okay? Any questions or comments here? So sadhana bhakti is a form of prema. That's what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to give. It's a form of prema. But it's a form where prema is dormant, you could say. And through the practice of that sadhana, as a consequence of practicing that sadhana, then one achieves prema. So he's come to give it. But yeah. He's come to give what Maharaj described, the means to attain perfection, which is sadhana. Narada explains these two processes in this way. Just as from a generous donor, one might receive food already cooked, or the means and ingredients for cooking the food oneself. So according to the opinion of scriptures, one receives Krishna's mercy through a method of devotional practice, either regulative or spontaneous. Unquote. I guess it's obvious, isn't it? we have to have a practice, otherwise you're not going to get it. Sometimes, sometimes we might just want to get it without being so attentive to the practice. But if you really want to get it, you're really serious about it, then you'll be serious about what is the practice, what is the sadhana, you know, and what is the means to obtain it. And Maharaj gave he spoke about it, he had a whole book's dedicated to that. But he spoke, for example, chanting in a mood of separation. Yeah. It's an aspect of sadhana. Bhava seva. Yeah. Okay. The example has been explained earlier. A well-wisher may show his mercy to a pauper in two ways. He may invite the beggar to a cooked meal, or he may give the poor man all the ingredients with which to cook his own meal. In both cases, the pauper enjoys a meal as a result of his well-wisher's kindness. Another example is when one requests a flame with which to initiate a sacrifice. That flame may be given as a burning ghee wick, ready to be placed in firewood, or one may receive the ingredients for the flame, namely a piece of cotton, a container with ghee, a little camphor, and a few matches. In either case, the purpose of lighting the fire is achieved, albeit in different ways. But just as a side point here, just remembering many years ago when His Holiness Srila Shiva Ramswami, he would do initiations himself. He would do the yagna himself. I think he did the yagna when I took initiation, I think. He would sit there in the temple room and do the swaha, and do the yagna himself. And he had this really wonderful, amusing thing he was doing. There's a substance, there's a chemical substance, which if you add water to it, it inflames. It bursts into fire. So he had that, and without knowing, he would put that in the yagna kund. Then he would tell devotees, okay, so to light the fire, we need to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So everyone would start chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And without, he would by the side, he would sprinkle some drops of water from the ashman cup as if he was purifying the kunda. And then all these flames would just go whoosh, come up, laughing. Remember, he had one of his disciples buying it from somewhere. So, anyway, sorry, bit of a side point. No? Okay. All right, the last page of the last chapter.
Wow.
In summary, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is said to freely distribute love of God, we should understand that during his appearance, he gives both Kripa-siddhi and Sadhana-siddhi. And after his disappearance, the same prema is available through which one? Kripa or Sadhana? Except Chandravati, because she's got the book.
That's why I'm not.
Sadhana.
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 Sadhana. These are the features of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's special mercy. These are the wonderful truths of devotion that Krishna did not explicitly reveal. This is the leniency that Krishna did not display. Of those rare souls who did understand his intent, Krishna was demanding. The Lord expected aspirants to surrender to him and renounce the world as conditions for adopting the sadhana of Raj Bhakti. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not. If we inquire what the teachings are for the present time, then the answer will be that it is the wisdom that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his representatives taught, and that is the righteous practice of sadhana bhakti based on knowledge and renunciation. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described the path of perfection to Sanatana Goswami, and these teachings were expanded on in books by his followers, which include Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Vishnu Chakravarti, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and Srila Prabhupada, and the teachings and books of Srila Prabhupada's disciples as well. The books of the Acharyas lay the foundations of sadhana bhakti, describing how devotees can rise from faith to attachment, and how by the additional grace of the Lord they can reach bhava, the juicy fruit of their practice. This book is an attempt to summarize those teachings and to emphasize the determination a sadhaka needs and the repeated sankalpas he must make to progress up the staircase of sadhana. In conclusion, to avail themselves of Lord Chaitanya's special mercy, devotees must read the teachings of the Lord as they are found in the books of his followers and systematically implement into their sadhana the teachings they have learned from their gurus. Yes, Lord Chaitanya's mercy is special. Kaviraj Goswami says that the study of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life and teachings will reveal that. One verse here, quote, if you are indeed interested in logic and argument, kindly apply it to the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If you do so, you will find it to be strikingly wonderful, unquote. But Krishna's direct mercy is also special. After Rupa Goswami describes how much mercy makes bhava available through sadhana and through devotees, the author writes this verse to indicate that the most wonderful mercy of all is that very rare mercy which is given directly by Krishna. Bhutana is an example of such good fortune. Quote, the bhava which is more amazing than anything in this world, which gives all powers and which is very deep, is the bhava caused by the mercy of Krishna. May the grace of Gauda and Krishna bless us with our most coveted goal, and may we attain the service of the divine couple that we most hunger for. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Jai Gaunitai, Jai Radhe Shyam. Hari Om Tat Sat. Okay, that finished Mr. Sankava Moody. But we've not finished yet because there's a summary and conclusion. All right, which will take 2 or 3 weeks to go through. But yeah, it just coming to mind as well as I was reading that last section. I was reminded at the very beginning of the book, where let me just try and find it. Yeah, this is the first paragraph of the preface. There is a thinking in some parts of the Krishna conscious movement that enthusiastic evangelism alone guarantees devotees the perfection of going back to Godhead. While most balanced proponents of this reasoning accept that devotees must follow their vows of initiation and attend the morning program, they often do not consider that any further sadhana is necessary. Such an attitude is obviously at odds with Srila Prabhupada's widely known effort in making available for his followers scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, which themselves emphasize attentive and regular study as essential perfection, as expressed by the words of Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Right, so I bring that up because I was just reminded, I was thinking also that not just by evangelism alone, we have to, we have to read what the detailed process of sadhana is and understand it. But also, it's not just by service alone. Not just by doing service, and necessarily it's going to guarantee you Krishna prema. Yeah, we have to understand what is the process of obtaining Krishna prema. It's not just service, and no particular attention to the details. Studying of Srila Prabhupada's books and knowing the process of devotion. Any comments on this? Everyone's still with us? Let's see you here today. Hare Krishna. Gopi Gita, Madhumango, Nitai Mata, Sejo's. Sejo's phone is here. Great. Sita and Kumari Priya. Yeah, any let's have a couple of those last couple of pages. Any thoughts? Madhu Mangopu, can you give us some thoughts? As though you're on a coach.
He's driving.
Some thoughts. I'm arriving at the destination.
Okay, no problem.
I'm arriving at the destination.
Destinations arrived. Krishna Prema. Baba. Sejo, any comments?
Keep reading, keep reading.
Huh?
Keep reading, keep reading.
No,
Keep reading, keep reading.
Very wonderful.
All right. Yeah, everyone's digesting what we just read. Quite a lot to digest. Right. Then we go on to the summary and conclusion. So Maharaj is gonna summarize the whole book and give a conclusion as well. Yeah. So let's see how much we can recall and remember what we've been reading this last, I don't know how long, over a year. Perhaps I hand over the reading to either Mother Chandravali or Kumari Priya. If you have the book, Mother Kumari Priya, Chandravali, you have the book. Page
Hare Krishna.
851.
What page is it?
851.
851.
Yeah, summary and conclusion. You can read, Mother.
Can read, yeah?
Yeah, go ahead.
Summary and conclusion. In this final chapter, we summarize the contents of each chapter or select philosophical conclusions from those chapters in a way what the aggregate paints a comprehensive picture of a message of Sankalpa Kaumudi. The basic theme of this book is pure devotional service and practice, more specifically how a devotee navigates the steps within sadhana bhakti with a cherished aspiration of attaining bhava. After reviewing the basics of bhakti yoga, we introduce the principles, psychology, and general examples of sankalpas in devotional service and practice. The preliminary knowledge facilitates the understanding of a subsequent theme, the stage-by-stage progression in attentive nama-bhajana, enriched with a mood of separation, taught by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When a devotee expertly applies himself to this process, he can expect two things: systematically advancing to the stage of deep attachment to Krishna and becoming the object of Lord's mercy. The attainment of verse 2 will ensure entrance into kingdom of ecstatic loving devotion. We now begin our chapter by chapter summary. Part 1. Aspects of sadhana lays a foundation of devotional truths on which the book rests. It gives a brief look at the basic elements of sadhana bhakti, such as its place among other types of devotion, its purity stages, underlying basic truths, how a devotee is recognized by qualification and attainment, and the spiritual transformation it brings about in a sadhaka's body, gross and subtle. In chapter 1, we introduce bhakti as a subject of a book, offering an unadorned description of pure devotional service. Alhaut Bhakti is about practice and perfection, whereas intermediate stage, which is a preliminary phase of perfection and is called bhava. This exalted accomplishment is a goal of sadhana bhakti and a heartbeat of serious practitioner. Ecstatic devotion should be the urgent and immediate goal of every sadhaka, and also the final attainment he can expect in this life. The reason is what Bhava Bhakti is a preliminary stage of love of God, one for which a practitioner's body is suited, and one which then awards them the spiritual body in which they can further cultivate love under the direct tutelage of Krishna's eternal associates, in a setting where Krishna's pastimes are concurrently manifest. Moreover, the body what corresponds to the stage of bhava is eminently suitable for cultivating loving devotion to its perfection.
Okay,
Chapter 2.
Pause there. Any specific questions there? Just and give a little summary myself, if we can recall. Brief look at the basic elements of sadhana bhakti. It's placed among other types of devotion, its purity stages, underlying basic truths. So there's, I spoke there about, there's Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, and he spoke about, he introduced principles of Raganuga sadhana bhakti as well. Explained the basics of both. Then he mentioned how the devotee is recognized by qualification and attainment. So that's Kanishta, Madhyam, and Uddam. Yeah. There's qualification in attachment, and there's qualification in attachment and love. And there's qualification also in knowledge and realization. Yeah. And how, I remember, Marge speaks about the spiritualization, how we become spiritualized of our material misconceptions by the practice of bhakti. Yeah. And then he's mentioning here that it's bhava that's going to take us back to Boma Vrindavan. Yeah. So bhava is a ray of prema. So that's what we can hope to, what we want to obtain in this life. It's bhava. Then we're qualified to associate with the Lord where he's performing pastimes in the material world. Yeah. And so that is available to everyone who practices sadhana, because that's the goal of sadhana. So we should practice sadhana with the goal in mind. This is the idea, that we have a very clear conception of the goal. And as Maharaj reveals later on in chapters, he gets into more details about that goal that we should become clear about, as sadhakas. So Rupa Goswami gives 3 stages in the nectar devotion: sadhana, bhava, and prema. Yeah, so sadhana should lead to bhava, and then bhava leads to prema. That's why we're doing sadhana, to obtain this seed of love. Okay, so that's an introduction. That's chapter 1. Okay, unless there's any questions, you can read. Go on to the next. There's just 1 paragraph for each chapter, so go on, Mother. You can read, unless there's any questions or comments on that. Go to chapter 2.
Chapter 2 is a summary of the stages of devotion, from faith to love, and an explanation of the 2 approaches to sadhana, regulated practice and spontaneous practice. Without the book, determinations are described in relation to both Vaidhi and Raga Bhakti, with understanding what in the ideal the former is meant to gradually transform into the later. If the transformation doesn't take place in practice, it can alternatively take place with attainment of bhava. In order to highlight the prominence of the pure devotion, also known as Kripa-siddhi bhakti, this chapter also describes some impure forms of devotion, like Aropa-siddhi bhakti. Impure devotion has its limited benefits, most significant of which is what it may give the practitioner access to pure devotees and their mode of pure worship. However, knowledge of impure devotion primarily serves the purpose of steering the sadhaka clear of this potentially spiritual hazard. The straight and effective path to Krishna is along the path of pure devotion.
Okay, it seems like to really unpack this, we have to read the whole of chapter 2 again. But yeah, Marge is mentioning here the 2 paths to bhava. One is by sincere, attentive practice of Vaidhi. Then through that purification, by the grace of the spiritual master, one will obtain raga, which means one will be inspired by the resonance of Vrindavan, or one may embark upon that path as an aspect of Vaidhi. They may engage in Raganuga sadhana, which means their sadhana will be focused and inspired by the resonance and the love of the resonance of Vrindavan. It doesn't mean they're at the stage of bhava, but that constant absorption in that topic will bring them to the stage of bhava. Okay? Some devotees, for one reason or another, may be hesitant to embark on that path of Raganuga sadhana, because perhaps some misconceptions to Sahajism or something, but that is a path. So if they're hesitant, then one will just, or if it's all too much, if that's all too much to absorb one, also if that's all too much for one, then one would just sincerely follow the principles of sadhana bhakti. And then one, at the stage of bhava, one will become attracted to the service of the resonance of Vrindavan, to Radha and Krishna. Yeah, so 2 paths. Then he speaks about this Aropa-siddhi bhakti. Trying to remember. The Aropa-siddhi bhakti means that which looks like pure bhakti, but it's not. It's got some other motive to it. Yeah, so it's called Aropya-siddhi bhakti. It means it kind of looks like, but actually it's not. But still, that will bring one into the association of devotees, so that they will become purified and come to the right understanding. Yeah. Anyway, Hare Krishna. All right. Any questions, comments? We'll go to chapter 3.
So I was just thinking,
Go on.
from practicing Vaidhi Bhakti,
Yeah.
as you progress, you will gradually go on to Raganuga Bhakti.
Yeah,
Intermediate stage, but you just...
Yeah, that's the idea. Generally, there will be a mixture. It's just not one or the other.
Yeah, yeah.
there may be a mixture. You may be practicing, I think we mentioned before, the mixture may be, you hear about Raganuga Bhakti, you may not have a spontaneous attraction to it, but you hear about that one aspect of it is meditating upon the Lord's pastimes. So that because you've been told about that, because you hear about that from the authorities, and then you take that up. So you're taking it up because it's been told that you should take it up. So that's Vaidhi.
Yeah.
But you're taking up the practice of Raganuga, which is meditated upon the residents from Vrindavan. So it's mixed. But the mixture of regulation will wane, and by meditating upon the residents of Vrindavan, the real spontaneous attraction will predominate at some point. But in the beginning, it may be a mixture. Yeah, okay, so these advanced devotees, this is what they do in the morning. They meditate upon the Krishna coming, leaving cowherd pastures, and noon pastimes, they meditate, noontime pastimes. Oh, I should do like this. So that's good. It may be from an aspect of that I should do, rather than your heart takes you there naturally. So there's a mixture. So it's not just one or the other. It may be a mixture.
And I kind of vaguely remember that you have to make that endeavor. You don't sit back and say, okay, no, this is not for me. But you have to make that endeavor. If
that's your particular attraction, some may not. Some will be like that. It's not for me. Let me just, concentrate on my service to my spiritual master. Yeah? It's all too complicated. It's all too, for me to really understand. Let me just do my service. But it's not just service. It's service means, as we've learned, what is sadhana bhakti. Yeah. What is chanting? What's the mood of chanting, etc. And then that will lead to a natural. That will lead to bhava, and then that will be a automatic inflaming of attraction to Krishna and the pastimes in Vrindavan. Yeah. But if you're attracted, if you have an attraction to Krishna's pastimes, and you like to read about Krishna's pastimes, and you like to incorporate knowledge of Krishna's pastimes into your smaran and into your regular devotional practice, then that's good. That means there's some attraction is there. Okay.
Yeah. Because like chanting is not mechanical. You need to absorb yourself that you want to please Krishna, not just hearing and doing that. You want to do that to please Krishna. So
yeah.
So
because that's the seed of pure emotion which is in the spiritual world. Everyone just wants to please Krishna. They're not concerned about themselves. They want to please Krishna. So we have that same attitude towards our chanting or anything that we do. This cooking is to please Krishna. Making garlands is to please Krishna. Distributing books is to please Krishna. Chanting the holy name is to please Krishna.
Yes. So
Maharaj, sorry, I keep
you carry on.
But Maharaj does go, as a question I mean to ask, actually, trying to think how to ask it, because he describes in the book called the Awakening of Spontaneous Devotion, he describes these two paths. And generally, he recommends that the path of Vaidhi can often be the safer path for most devotees. And that's generally the path that Prabhupada did give. Yeah. But then there's the other path of Raganuga sadhana. Yeah. But Maharaj in these books, he goes into great detail, and he does in Sankalpa Kaumudi as well, about Raganuga sadhana and what it is. Also, he describes in great detail about, remember we read here, also here about the different levels of chanting chanting the holy name and the different levels of his absorption, yeah, in Krishna's pastimes. So he gives wonderful detailed information about that path. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, you know, when you are chanting to please Krishna, then as you feeling like pleasing Krishna, the pastimes would just come in, because that's really nice, like pleasing Krishna, you know.
Yeah, for someone who's been chanting for a number of years, then the heart will be sufficiently purified. And that number of years means one would have heard Krishna's pastimes. Should have, yeah. When we read the Krishna book, one would have hear the pastimes when you go to Vrindavan. That's why we go to Vrindavan. And we go to the pastime places. The idea is that the sadhaka will take that home with them as a smaran when they're chanting the holy name of the Lord. They will be in Vrindavan. They will take Vrindavan back home with them. And taking Vrindavan back home means you're meditating upon Vrindavan and Krishna's pastimes. Yeah, so that is so it's mostly mixed. You see, it's mostly mixed. Yeah, there's a good few devotees here. Probably a lot of devotees here are probably practicing Raganuga sadhana. Definitely, devotees have been around 10, 20, 15, 25 years. Probably is without going to personally analyzing everyone's smaran and bhajan. I'm sure devotees are, chanting the holy name and maybe naturally thinking of Krishna's lotus feet, Krishna's pastimes, And once one has a taste for that, then one's sadhana, this is mentioned in Sudha Bhakti Chintamani, one's sadhana will be to facilitate that. I've heard devotees describe, like they may be meditating upon the particular pastime of Krishna, and certain details may come to mind naturally if they're qualified and they have the purity of heart. So then they will want to fill out those details. So they will search out that pastime in the sastras. They will read it. And the purpose to read it is to recall it. Yeah. Yes, these are different.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, please, Mother.
Prabhu, I remember,
Go on.
I don't remember fully, one Prabhu, Bhakti Sita Maharaj's disciple who was doing, I think Prabhu, who was doing Bhagavatam classes. Those classes, he mentioned about one Mataji, I think in Vrindavan, those days. She was doing 24/7 service because there's nobody, and she will really she have time to chant, but she will somehow count while she will hang the beads, and she as and when she's cooking. So I'm just thinking, how, my God, it's she's in a different level, and no other way she could do her chanting.
Yeah.
And so
yeah. You still there? Oh, here's a karma.
sorry, Prabhu. Sorry,
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I was just thinking, this is that is the attachment that she had. Although she's doing the service and she's stirring, and then she will say one mantra and she will push the beads.
Yeah. So we will hear and read about examples of spontaneous Raganuga practice, but we should be careful not to imitate.
Yeah.
Even was reading recently where Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu advised, or who's that associate of Lord Caitanya who offered Lord Caitanya oil and he refused to take it. What's his name? Jagannatha Pandit.
Yeah.
And he advised Jagannatha Pandit not to associate too closely with the residents of Vrindavan because of their nature of practice is quite spontaneous and doesn't follow any specific vidhi which is recommended for the general devotees. So, and your story reminds me, whether it's the same, it might have got mixed up, but it reminds me of Vibhu Chaitanya, famous devotee in Vrindavan, disciple of Prabhupada, who would cook all the offerings for Radha Shyama Sundara in Vrindavan, practically. Well, that's what I heard anyway.
This devotee is from
Mongolized
New.
Yeah.
This
Also,
Mataji in New. Oh, sorry, Prabhu.
Including the Mongolite sweets. And he would just sing. And Prabhupada heard of this, and devotees brought it to his attention. Prabhupada, he's not charging his rounds. Well, Prabhupada said he doesn't have to chant his rounds. He's just chanting the holy name all day, cooking for the Lord. So that's a Raganuga Sadhan, which he blessed that devotee with. Otherwise, Prabhupada would say, if anyone's not chanting 16 rounds, they are in a disease condition.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
imitate. We can be inspired about such devotees.
Yeah.
We shouldn't want to imitate them. But,
No, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's all types of wonderful examples here in Sastra about devotees' devotional practice. All right. Any other quote? We've just got a few minutes left. Well, 3 minutes left to be exact. So rather than go into the third chapter, is there any lingering questions or comments on this? Seeing here. All right.
Is this the chapter that we learned about going different stages? Starting with faith and...
Yeah, that would be an obvious subject that was covered here.
In that, yeah.
Obvious, that's why from Rupa Goswami, Shraddha.
Yeah.
It's quite, much Aropa, almost as if we need to read the book again and again and again.
Yeah. What I felt in this book, everywhere you chant, or everywhere you read, there is chance that you can understand the stages. I don't know how Mara does that. It's amazing. Everywhere, every corner, every place you read, you will understand about that book.
Yeah, your voice is breaking up there. What I caught was
no, I was saying everywhere, wherever you read, you can understand that Lord is really emphasizing about this, for the sadhakas to get inspired. He himself is inspired, definitely. That's why he's inspiring us in this way, like how we are, It's a very amazing. Everywhere, every place, it's very, very inspiring book.
Yeah. Very wonderful to read as well. We've read it together and we're just reading the conclusion. It's like...
Yeah. That's what I was saying. We will read again.
Yeah. All right.
Reading everything else.
Yeah. So just about...
no, honestly, I don't mind. I don't mind reading this again. This is
Well,
my
what might
favorite,
be,
actually.
well, yeah, what might be, what you'll find is that if you do acquire the book yourself at some point, I guess it might come out online as well at some point, which might make it more readily available for devotees. It's not a cheap book, and some devotees find it hard to obtain a copy. But I suggest if you do get an opportunity, read through it, and you'll begin to, and you'll assimilate it, and you'll recognize points, and it will start to, the pieces of, if you could say, the puzzle will start to fit together in a more deeper way for you.
Yeah.
Because we've read it through, we've discussed it, we've stopped, we've discussed it. So that's a wonderful first introduction. It's like Prabhupada's books, it's the same. No, you read it once, you read it twice, you read it 3 times. And you go in with each time you read again, you're reading with a pure heart. Because reading has purified you and your acts of devotion have purified you. So when you read it again the next year, you're going in with a new heart and you're going in with a clearer vision. And Krishna's going to reveal different things to you because now you're qualified to tune into different things which you didn't tune into before. And then you read again. So we could be reading Prabhupada's says, I think you could be reading Prabhupada's books at Attaining Vritti. It's going to mean one thing for you. When you read Prabhupada's books at the stage of Nishta, at the stage of Ruchi, at the stage of Nishta, you'll get different message. When you read it Ruchi, you'll get a different message. When you read it as Shakti, you'll get a different message. When you read it, you'll get a different message. Yeah. Prabhupada's books are written in such a way that they can communicate to everyone at every level. You can get inspired, whether you're a beginner or you're on the realm of obtaining power. You will relish. You will relish it in a way. So it's not mundane in any way. It's like dynamic. It's Krishna's in our hearts. So these are the words of the Acharyas, Prabhupada's books and his followers, So so
Need more hours in a day.
Yeah, well, those are retired.
I know. I was going to
Even when you retire, the time just like, okay, you chant one more round. I'll read. The time just goes, you want to do this, you want to do that. Sit down and listen to a class and it's like,